The new FPS action RPG Atomic Heart by Mundfish has just been published, and gamers are starting to recognize the game's crazy style as something distinctive that goes beyond its premise. The plot centers on Major Comrade Sergei Nechev, who is dispatched to Facility 3826 after the launch of a new technology goes horribly wrong, resulting in the chaos and devastation of robots and biomechanical experiments. Towards the beginning of the game, Atomic Heart may be quite challenging due to the introduction of new systems, weapons, and neuropolymer abilities. Over that, the combat may also be rather challenging at times. Due to the unlimited amount of robots and the enemy's incredible speed of respawn, it might occasionally be difficult to leave the location you are in. In order to survive, you'll also need to overcome a lack of ammo and a constrained carry capacity. The following tips and strategies for Atomic Heart will not only give you an advantage in battle, weapons, and skills, but will also improve your understanding of the game, help you die less, and lower your probability of being hey PC. Punch time! Starting from number 7, understand abilities and weapons. The most effective use of skills is in combination with other abilities. You can lift enemies into the air, shock, and freeze them using mass telekinesis. Weapons in Atomic Heart may also cause elemental damage in addition to physical damage. Other weapons deal standard physical damage, but they may be improved and then fitted with fire, ice, or electrical cartridges to deal elemental damage. For instance, energy weapons always deal electrical damage. Cartridges may even be used with melee weapons and can be freely exchanged between weapons at any moment. The three types of weaponry in Atomic Heart are melee weapons, ballistic ranged weapons, and energy ranged weapons. Only ballistic weapons need traditional ammunition, but energy weapons are the exact opposite since they don't. Enemies are gradually frozen by frostbite, and the polymeric jet covers them with a substance that makes whatever you do to them more effective, including freezing them and using the standard shock power on them. Combining these skills may seem like a hassle at first, but it will give you an advantage in battle and is well worth it. Moving on to number 6, scan frequently. The first item you'll obtain in the game's beginning is the Atomic Scanner, which is handy in a number of circumstances and rapidly develops into the player's most valuable talent. You can view concealed goods through walls and other obstructions. More precisely, this practical ability makes opponents, beneficial goods, and lootable containers visible. Scan is most helpful while looking for treasure, aside from figuring out how many foes are close. As a result of your frequent scanning of your surroundings, beneficial objects are highlighted in a variety of hues. You should continually search for treasure since Atomic Heart's weapon upgrading system strongly relies on the resources you collect. During a scan, if a container is highlighted in blue, it means it is loaded with loot. There's really no reason to pass up any lootable containers you come across since even though your inventory has a finite amount of room, any objects that would fill it are instantly put into storage. Moving on to number 5, upgrade distinct skills. There are many distinct skills in Atomic Heart that can be utilized, and each one has a unique skill set that can be used to advance it. However, you can only switch out your talents at Nora stations, and you can only have 2 skills equipped at once. Hence, rather than spreading your neuropolymer out as you go, it makes the most sense to spend it in one ability at a time. Nora plays important roles in the gameplay, including the ability to store equipment and weapons, craft new gear from the materials you find, and even disassemble loot you don't need into components you can then use to build new things. These functions are in addition to upgrades like the Atomic Heart Sprint Power and an improved version of the Atomic Heart Telekinesis. The equipment method, however, is constrained and does not encourage the use of diverse abilities. While the game's weapons are supposed to be your main means of doing damage, each talent may be utilized to your advantage by either slowing down your opponents, rendering them helpless, or protecting yourself from harm. Instead of trying to gradually improve each skill, it is best to choose one that you prefer and make it upgrade first. Moving on to number 4, use energy weapons. Atomic Heart has a limited supply of ammunition, but it's not as limited as you may assume. When you have used up all of the limited ammo that is supplied, as you may have seen early on in the game, shotgun ammunition is difficult to find. Later on, you'll discover that you have access to extra ammunition as well as other free ways to harm adversaries. But up until that time, you should exercise a bit more caution and only use firearms when a punch in the face is the only other option. A straightforward and easy technique to this is to use energy weapons instead of conventional firearms, such as the electro pistol, which function on a charged meter that recharges quite rapidly. Using your character's energy reserves, energy weapons effectively function as rechargeable ammunition. If you utilize melee attacks, your energy will refuel more quickly. If you take the time to let it recharge in between combat engagements, the electro pistol almost has endless ammo, thus you're better off upgrading it than other weapons. Also, there are a number of other modifications that you can buy using neuropolymer to hasten both the energy's recharging and its use. Moving on to number 3, invest neuropolymer. In Atomic Heart, energy is one of your most valuable resources. It serves as a power source for energy-based weaponry and, if you're not cautious, depletes quite rapidly. In this game, neuropolymer is necessary for survival. Neuropolymer will be required to improve all of the game's major power, character, shock, and energy storage upgrades. It's extremely helpful to note that shock is a highly effective attack to utilize and fight even in its default configuration. You can make the shock ability fairly potent and quite useful in fight with some of the upgrades that you can get from the vending machine, which will make surviving much simpler. It's a good idea to invest some of your neuropolymer on improvements from the energy management tree if you want to concentrate on energy weapons in particular. You may raise your energy regeneration rate naturally, add more power cells, and enhance the quantity of energy regained by melee attacks, among other ways. Regular bullets only slightly drain energy, but preparing a special attack will take a significant amount away. Throughout time, your character replenishes depleted energy, but extremely slowly. Melee weapons are an excellent technique to increase your natural recharge rate because they replenish energy with each strike. Moving on to number 2, focus on hand. In Atomic Heart, unlocking doors requires resolving simple lockpicking challenges. There are many different kinds of these puzzles. You could need to time a sequence of button pushes. You will occasionally run into platforming challenges as you explore Atomic Heart's universe. These tasks demand a lot of patience and, sadly, luck. Platforming itself can be a little difficult, despite the fact that climbable objects and platforms are immediately identifiable by their yellow hue. You can usually discern a good leap from a bad one by watching for Sergei to extend his hand. In general, it is safe to jump in that direction if he reaches for it. However, whether the player lands the leap depends entirely on their aim. You can very well find yourself performing jumps that ought to be successful yet leave you on ground. In Atomic Heart, you can very well find yourself performing jumps that ought to be successful yet leave you on the ground. Instead of shooting for the yellow marker when you're about to leap to another platform, aim a bit higher than the ground itself, and you should be safe. Finally, moving on to number 1, change difficulty. Atomic Heart may seem a difficult game at times that makes it appear like it was never intended to be played this easily, but that isn't the case. Atomic Heart can turn out to be quite a struggle, but a rewarding one. At first, it might not seem like it. There are 3 levels of difficulty available in the game: Peaceful Atom, Local Malfunction, and Armageddon. Even experienced players could find it challenging on Local Malfunction difficulty. It becomes more reminiscent of a classic first-person shooter when you switch to easy mode. Reduce the level if you are not enjoying it and are finding it